girl in the high vis got a question. Jason, I think you talked about, each underlying asset has a particular role in a portfolio, and I often hear about the discipline of when you take out a stock, etc., and that process. I just want to know the discipline behind when we take out a fund, and what's the information, and what sort of process do we go to when we have the discipline of removing a fund and replacing a fund?
Sure. So I guess the best example I can use, this can sort of go down a whole lot of different rabbit holes, but I'll use an example of international equity fund where you've got it in there for a particular role, and I'm going to say it's growth. Now, we would be looking to try and we will allocate 2 benchmarks when we're measuring that position. One will be their official benchmark, and then exactly to Rob's point, we would be using some sort of ETF, which is likely to be a growth ETF, as a secondary benchmark that we're looking for them to consistently, to a degree, consistently outperform. Now, if they're not outperforming that as a period of underperformance, then we're going to ask questions about, well, why has that happened? Sit down with them, understand it. It may be down to a single position, it could be a bad call, but if you're talking about team changes and things like that, then that's sort of opening up potential for changes. But the way that we would look at that on a broader basis, if, okay, growth's maybe not working, that doesn't bother us, right? As long as they're sort of either keeping up, because we'll make other changes elsewhere in the portfolio to compensate for that. So ultimately we're going to look at, are they doing the job within their lane, and assessing them around that. And we measure that lane not just off their official benchmark.
Which is, you mentioned that you carry a sort of significant cash holding. Doesn't that affect returns for the portfolio overall?
Sorry, I should clarify. So that's not cash within the portfolio. That's cash, us as a firm, the cash that we carry to fund the business. So that's separate to the portfolio. And the reason we do that is because, as a firm, we want to make sure that we have sufficient liquidity to meet our expenses if we have a period of sustained underperformance, because a large portion of our fee income is performance related. And so if we don't outperform, we don't generate the fees. And so we need to make sure that we have sufficient reserves to ride out those periods. So that's really what I was getting at there.